Ladies and gentlemen, today's video is one I did not plan on making. I actually had a story video I had planned for today, which will now come out tomorrow unless something else crazy happens. But today we got a new update for Modern Warfare 3, which generally speaking involves multiplayer and zombies. Specifically, there's some changes to the UI. Also, they made a bunch of changes to various different aftermarket parts, which are pretty big. Like a lot of these things change multiple things dealing with aftermarket parts, and then some changes to zombies, specifically the warlords and the new Dokabi warlord who is implemented in Season 1 Reloaded, and some changes to the souped up event going on as well. So I thought I would make a video bringing you guys all of these changes that actually happened. Don't worry, that story video is coming tomorrow or as soon as possible. And let me tell you, I really do think it's one of the best ones. I really do think it's one of the best ones that I've ever made. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed, have notifications on, all of that kind of jazz. Without further ado, let's dive into today's surprise update. So here are the patch notes. Keep in mind that this was not a title update. This was just like a surprise update that randomly came out and addresses various different things. First of all, customization. You can now buy any bundle that's been in the store. If you go into your armory and there's a certain character skin or blueprint that you haven't received, you can go in there, look it up, and buy any bundle. Again, I don't really buy bundles, so not my cup of tea, but if you're into that kind of thing, now you don't have to wait for it to appear in the store. Camo challenges appearing twice. Things broken with certain attachments kicking you back to the main menu, revised fully loaded challenge descriptions to clarify the attachment requirements. And then as far as progression goes, the broken signal camo for the TAC Evolvery can now be progressed to completion. So that one was broken before if you were going for the camos. Electric Shock event challenge will now track progress as intended. As far as modes go, so this is the souped up mode. This is the limited time mode. Temp V abilities can now be earned more than once per life. I don't know why they don't do this with score streaks, but apparently they're doing it with Temp V. Adjusted columns displayed in the match scoreboard for kills, confirms, and denies. Private matches, adjustments, and then we get into weapons and weapon attachments. Almost everything that we're going to be looking at here is going to revolve around various different aftermarket parts. And they say here, one goal of our design team is to create conversion kits that offer players fun and unexpected experiences with familiar weapons. A part of this goal is to maintain balance where conversion kits enhance weapon capabilities without overshadowing the original role of that weapon. Based on your feedback and a review of recently released aftermarket parts, we've implemented significant changes for you to experience today. Looking ahead, we've refined our approach to balancing aftermarket parts to ensure they're powerful, worth the grind, and most importantly, fun. So starting out with the Holger 556 with the Jack signal burst, this makes it a burst fire weapon. Increase gun kick control benefit by 10%, so that's a buff. Increase recoil control by 10%, that's a buff. And decrease the burst fire delay from 120 milliseconds to 90 milliseconds. This is a huge buff to the signal burst, so definitely worth checking out. Now, the battle rifles, the Jack Thunder LMG kit, decreased bullets required to reach maximum rate of fire from 25 to 15. So I wouldn't say that this is a massive buff, but this is a buff nonetheless. It's going to increase your fire rate faster than it previously did. Submachine guns, the AMR9. So this one is not, all of them that you're looking at here do not have to do with the conversion kits or aftermarket parts or anything, but then we do get into that as well. So decreased maximum damage range from 16.5 meters to 14 meters. That's a nerf. Decreased near mid damage range to 20.3 meters and decreased medium range to 35.6. So damage range nerfs all around. However, they increased the headshot damage multiplier to 1.3, but decreased the lower torso, lower arm, and hand damage to 1 times. They increased the upper leg damage to 1 and increased the lower leg to 1 as well, with the foot damage also going up. They also increased the rate of fire to 833 RPM. Now, overall, I could be wrong here, but overall, I think this is a buff. Yes, the damage ranges went down, but the fire rate going up that much should make up for it and make it a much better close range weapon, if that makes sense. So as an SMG in particular, I think that this will be better, especially if you are hitting the headshots. Now, the Jack Eaton double barrel kit. So overhauled firing mechanics to simultaneously fire 2 bullets per shot. That sounds extremely powerful. Added in locational damage multipliers, head 1 time. So basically your damage multipliers are all going to be worse. However, you're firing 2 bullets at the same time, which is very powerful. They decrease the aim down sight spread by 75% and decrease the hip fire spread by 50%. Overall, I think this is a buff. You're firing 2 bullets at the same time, basically doubling your fire rate. That's very, very powerful. As they give you a sample loadout here, I don't think you guys need that, but there's definitely a better loadout out there, is essentially what I'm saying. So the Rival 9 Jack Headhunter carbine conversion, decrease maximum damage from 30 to 26, decrease medium to 24, decrease minimum to 22. That's a big nerf all around. However, they increase the headshot multiplier up to 2. That's big. Increase the neck multiplier up to 1.5. Increase the upper torso to 1.5. They decrease the burst fire delay to 66 milliseconds, decrease the sprint to fire penalty by 10%, decrease the aim down sights penalty by 7%, and decrease the hip spread penalty by 20%. So even though they are nerfing the damage, this is a huge buff, especially if you are hitting headshots. Basically, if you are accurate with this weapon, it is way better than it was before. However, if you're hitting leg shots or something like that, it's going to be worse. I'm very curious to see how this one performs, but overall, I'm thinking another buff. Marksman rifle, the DM56, the Jack Signal Burst. As far as this one goes, they increase the gun kick control benefit by 10%, increase recoil control by 10%, and decrease the burst fire delay to 90 milliseconds. So overall, a buff for that one, just not as big of a buff as the other ones that we were looking at before. After this, the Breacher Drone. Detonation upon impact within 5 meters will now occur with decreased detection radius. I'm not sure what that means. Let's read here. Previously, the Breacher Drone could not detonate upon impact with a player within the initial 5 meters of its flight. Now it can. Oh, okay, I see. So basically, immediately after you throw the Breacher Drone, it can blow up if it hits someone, which means it's going to cause people to kill themselves a little bit more and probably get that kill on the person who's within 5 meters of them. Warlords. So this is where we get into zombies. This part is very brief. Warlord randomization. Dokabi's week-long spotlight has ended, and now a random warlord will be selected at the start of each match. So sometimes Storm the Castle boss will be there, sometimes Dokabi will be there. Just depends on the match that you get into. Players can view which warlord is active via the TAC map. Plan accordingly. Pretty straightforward. Players can also progress the Act 4 mission, Storm the Castle, by eliminating any warlord. I believe that is actually an Act 3 mission. I could be wrong, but I'm like 99% sure that that's an Act 3 mission, not an Act 4. The Warlord Dokabis. Players will now no longer be able to eliminate Dokabi in one shot with multiple weapons. I didn't even know that that was possible, but now that is nerfed, so the boss fight should be a little bit more difficult. But all in all, it's pretty easy. I have a guide for it up on the channel with a very easy way to do it solo. If you want to check that out, I'll link it down in the description. So I'm not going to lie, that was my first time reading through those patch notes, and my takeaway from it is all of the conversion kits, all of the aftermarket parts are way more powerful now. They said that they wanted to make them more fun and feel different than the original weapons. I thought a lot of the conversion kits were already really good. Now they're even better. There was some nerfs in there, but I think as a whole, every single one that we looked at got a buff. So if you haven't tried out the conversion kits or maybe thought they were underpowered, now is the time to do so. And I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of these end up getting a little nerfs later on, maybe with season 2 in a couple of weeks here. Literally, actually almost exactly 2 weeks. But yeah, that's today's update. It was a secret one, came out of nowhere. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to stay up to date on everything Call of Duty. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, peace.
We are reaching for the stars.